Yo, what up? Welcome to Mo Boxing No Problem. I'm Jose Morales Jr. and today I'm joined by special guests. We got a pro boxer, Evan Holyfield. How's it going, Evan?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's going well.
No problem. Thank you for making the time. I know you're prepping for a big fight in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Nice, nice. Well, first question I got for you, it's rather basic. I'm sure you get asked this all the time, and a lot of people probably already know the answer just based on who your dad was. But how do you get into boxing?
Um, really, I had my first fight when I was 8, and my mom. I won my fight. You know what I mean? Me and my brother, as both. But my mom didn't want me to box, so she put me in every other sport. Just hoping that I'd find another passion. So I did like things like gymnastics, swimming, track, wrestling, taekwondo, basketball. I literally played like every single sport until like I got to like around like 8th grade, 9th grade, like between the summer between the two, going in between the two. And I decided to dedicate my life towards boxing because I started to like kind of like, just being on YouTube and stuff. There was a lot of young phenomenons and stuff like that, and really, I think it was around like 2012 because Earl Spence was on the team and stuff like that, and I had seen a video of him saying that he had started boxing around the age of like 14 or 15, and that and a couple of Manny Pacquiao videos, kind of got me that nudge to to actually like take a chance on it. And really with the whole Earl Spence thing, with him saying he was 15 years old, it kind of let me know it wasn't too late of a start. It wasn't too late of a start to really to start boxing and to possibly make something big out of it. But all I knew was like in 9th grade and stuff like that, everybody's going to school for like scholarships and going to college and stuff like that, and there's really no college for boxing. So I kind of knew this was the time to like really start investing my time.
That's what's up. And as you mentioned, your mom probably didn't want to get you into boxing because she had to live through that with your dad.
Yeah.
But now that you got into boxing, is there kind of extra motivation to kind of live up to the Holyfield name? Considering your dad had all these accolades at cruiserweight and heavyweight.
Oh yeah, of course. It's definitely his motivation to see his accolades and to see that all that he's achieved. And we come from a competitive family, so like it's kind of like you want to do better than him, or you just want to keep up at least. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just like with everything that we ever done in our life and stuff like that. Whether because we worked out with him, we ran with him and stuff like that. And our goal was always to be, what I mean, don't get left behind. You know what I mean? At least
Yeah.
try to beat him, especially if you can. So he's got it to the Hall of Fame, and that's ultimately where I wanted to be. On to be one of the first father son tandems in there. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's easy to say, but you gotta put in the work and do it. And also know there's other father son tandems out there. So it's really not about being the first, but I definitely want to be one of the people, of
Right.
course.
Yeah, definitely. So about that legacy. Yeah, and then I want to talk about your nickname, Young Holy. When did you get that nickname, and who gave it to you?
Oh yeah, this one's gonna blow you. So you know what I mean? Xbox Live, right? You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
too young to get the Xbox Live membership. So when I was a kid, I had to make a fake email. You know what I mean? Then when I was old enough to get rid of M games, my mom would have let me get GTA. So I
Uh,
came up with Young Holy. You know what I mean? Youngholy8@gmail.com. Don't email that. By the way. But you know what I mean? When it came time to turn pro, they was asking me for my ring name, and I couldn't really think of nothing. And I just used my email.
yeah, that's a great story, and it's also a great nickname. So thanks for sharing that.
I appreciate it.
And then can you tell us a little bit about your amateur career? What are some of your major accomplishments?
Oh yeah, my amateur career, I had around like 80 fights. I don't, you know what I mean. It's kind of weird with the whole amateur thing because like with the way that they've been shifting the rules as time's been going on. Because before, what a lot of people don't know, like back in like 2012, you know what I mean, 2010, they didn't have the computer system where what I mean they keep up with your fights and everything. It was kind of like by the honor code. If you keep your passbook, you tell the person how many fights you had. That's how many fights you had.
Mm,
I've ran through a couple passbooks, and as time goes on, you just kind of lose count sometimes. But like, I'm pretty sure I got like around 80. You know what I mean? But I only believe I've like lost like around like 10. You know what I mean? And I say two legit. You know what I mean? Where I should be like, I give him a head nod, and I'd be like, hey, that boy gave me a good fight. You know what I mean? Yeah.
that's impressive. And now flash forward to your pro debut. Back in November 2019 at the MGM Grand Arena. A lot of people's dream is to fight at Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. Uh,
Yeah.
how's your emotions making your pro debut at such a grand arena? Were you nervous at all?
Oh yeah, I was definitely nervous. It was kind of like a surreal feeling because especially for your first fight, I had been to MGM a couple times. You know what I mean? I had been there to see the Deontay Wilder when he won his world championship against Deverne. I seen Canelo fight Cotto there. I've been to T-Mobile Arena a couple times, but like I've definitely been. I even was there when Eric Morales and Maidana had fight. You know what I mean? So like I've been to MGM like a handful of times. So like it was definitely a surreal experience actually being there and actually being part of the show, and not actually just being there like sitting around and sitting in the room, you know what I mean, waiting to actually like to watch the attraction. You know what I mean? I actually like was part of the attraction. So the whole, like I said, surreal once again. Did the whole thing from the weigh-ins to, you know what I mean, the actual fight. I grew up watching HBO boxing, so like I Sergey Kovalev, he was big on HBO
Hmm.
boxing. I used to watch him a lot, and so was Canelo. So it was actually really crazy to actually like be working aside some of my like motivators, some of my the people who motivated me coming up. So that was something. And then my dad, I fought there too, so that was also that was a little something too. But going through the whole experience, it kind of reminded me like you got to stay focused, and like these are the moments that you really that you want to work for, and that you wait for, because like of course I was one of the earlier bouts, you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I was walking through the backstage, getting ready to come out the tunnel to fight. It's kind of a long walk, you know what I mean. But like
Hmm.
all I was just reminding myself, I was looking at all the posters and stuff like that from all the past people who have fought, all the past shows, and you're like, okay, like this is the stage, you know what I mean, that everybody wants to be. But you also tend to remind yourself like you don't hear no fans because of course you're not popping that hard yet, you know what I mean. So
Uh-huh.
you just gotta remind yourself like at one point in time when if you make it there, when it's like dad, when it was my father or it was Canelo, my dad told me like you can hear the fans yelling back to the your locker room. So when you're walking
Uh-huh.
down there, you only can imagine like you can hear all that. So I just told myself like, hey, it's not. Even though it's a big stage for me for my first fight, but it's not as big as what it what I mean, as what it could be. So you know what I mean. Just go in and just handle the task at hand. That way you can work your way to that point. You know what I mean. Let's worry about
Yeah.
it when we get there. You know what I mean? Because it's not that. It's just that right now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think another thing that's awesome is like in the future, if you do go back to MGM Grand Arena and you're headlining, you'll have that comparison. Like you had that fight with no fans, it was dead quiet, and then you come back with the roaring crowd behind you.
Yeah,
That's gonna feel crazy.
it's gonna be surreal.
Yeah. All right, we got some comments here from Sports and Tunes. Says, "What up, champs? Just keep your head up, young king. You have a bright future ahead of you."
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for tuning in, Sports and Tunes. Next question I got for you, Evan. 2020, it was a year we couldn't prepare for. COVID, hit everybody hard. It hit the boxing world hard, and it put a lot of careers, pretty much on hold that whole year. But I saw that you somehow still got, 3 fights in 2020. How were you able to kind of, still get some fights and stay busy?
I don't know. It's really quite miraculous, and I could just say it's God's timing and all too, because I think before then, or all in the middle of the whole coronavirus thing, I was going through a whole lawsuit. So
Mm,
it was just kind of like the timing of things. How like, cause at first, when I first entered the lawsuit, like it was kind of like we were fresh, kind of like going to Corona. So like
mhm,
not nobody was kind of like sure what was going on. So
mhm.
like um in God, in God's way, it worked out. So by the time I was just getting out the lawsuit, boxing was just picking back up, and reluctantly, I'm signed to main events, and they have a good promotional team, and they were able to give me a couple fights before the year ended.
That's awesome. And then I want to talk about the your most recent fight. That was the one the thriller card in Inglewood. You had that upset loss to Jermaine McDonald. What happened in that fight, and what did you learn from that loss?
Um, the whole experience is just like what I mean. It's not a lot of people want to say you want to put it behind you, and you don't want to put it behind them. Like of course you want to I grew past it and stuff like that, and I've come to understand, some of the shortcomings I had, and just the whole scenario. It was a big stage, my first time on the big stage, and what that really taught me is just to keep my focus, and you know, and just have your ducks in a row. And, you always want to come to the fight prepared, and just keep it like that, and training camp's important, and keep the right people around you, and everybody should be in the camp focused on one thing. You know what I mean? One set goal. As a team. So like I'm not here to make any excuses or to what I mean, go back on any words or anything. Like you landed a good shot, and I just wasn't focused at the time, and that's just all it was at the time. But we come in we're in a sport where you got to stay focused at all times, and ultimately, like what I mean, I feel like I made the count and stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
in life, you can't put yourself in a position for other people to make decisions for you, because sometimes they'll make the decision that you don't like, and you just have to go with it. So it's just keep yourself out of those ranges, out of those emotions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I read an article you mentioned in the previous interview. It was just kind of a lapse in judgment. You lost concentration for one split second, and sometimes that's all it takes in boxing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we got a lot of comment here from Lamar. It says, "Hey Evan,
that's
you
good.
know, how's the career going?" So yeah, let's talk about the career. You got a fight day coming up on February 18th at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. It's a card promoted by Westside Boxing. How did that opportunity come to be?
I honestly don't know. You know what I mean? It's a new year, and I'm hoping to be active this whole year. I really want it to be one of my most active years. Getting back on the rhythm, and just showing people what really I can do, and what I've really been investing my time in. Because I took a little break. It's probably like 9, 10 months, coming up. So I've been investing my time. It's not like I've just been sitting around. As you can see, I'm in the gym. So I'm just excited to show you what I've been working on, and all the shades to my game.
Nice, and I'm sure at the end of the night you're gonna have a whole lot of new fans out of the Bay Area. For sure, for sure. Got a comment from Lamar. It says, "I hope you fight with the heart your dad had. He's legendary."
That's
100%.
fact.
100%. And then let's talk about your opponent, for a little bit. So it looks like it's going to be against Terrence Germain. What can you tell us about him? I know he's fought Fernando Vargas Jr. in the past.
Yeah, that's funny because we have fought on the same card. Yeah, I fought Fernando Vargas, and Fernando Vargas was like not super middleweight, like middleweight or whatever, and I was 152, 150, 152. So I think that's like super welter or something like that. So like I had seen him fight. He had got stopped early by Fernando. Fernando's a good boxer, but I felt like also Fernando was just a little bit bigger than him. You know what I mean? The guy had came up from like 47, I think.
Mhm.
So I just think it was. I'm not even going. It's not even like that. But like no, Fernando just outboxed him. You know what I mean? He didn't know what to do with a southpaw. So, but of course I'm not a southpaw. I'm orthodox. But we're gonna get these things to work.
Absolutely. And how do you prepare for fights, Evan? Do you watch a lot of videotape on your opponents, or do you kind of leave it up to your coach and just focus on making improvements to your style?
Well, I feel like of course I want to see what's going on. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
See if I can see any holes in the game and see what I think of him. And ultimately, my coaches will look at the video too. But with this guy, Terrence Jarman, he don't got a lot of tape out, so you just have to, you only can go by what you see and stuff like that. But like that's why we train so hard, and we train against so many styles during the training camp. That way, you really can't be surprised, by what style somebody brings out. You just got to prepare for everything.
Yeah, and sometimes one thing you can't prepare is kind of how hard somebody punches, and so you get punch in the face. But who's someone either in sparring or in your pro fights that you can say has been the hardest puncher you've been in the ring with?
The hardest puncher I've probably been in the ring with, probably Brandon Glennon,
Oh man, yeah.
bulletproof. Yeah, like he ain't blast me out, but I just know you know what I mean. He has the choice to blast me out. He come up a couple shots that were like he was like, "Oh snap, I didn't mean to hit you like that." Blah blah. I was like, "No, I'm good," but like still, It's crazy that he's trying to control his power and he still hits like that.
Yeah, he fights at cruiserweight, right?
Yeah. He fights at
Yeah.
cruiserweight. Just fight David Light.
Yeah, there you go. See, man, that's you definitely will feel it with the weight difference there.
Yeah.
And then who was your favorite boxer growing up?
Manny Pacquiao for sure. I didn't really even have to think about that, but like, if it's not Manny Pacquiao, like Finito Lopez and Marquez.
Nice, great names. And
That's it.
in today's boxing world, who do you consider to be the number one pound for pound fighter?
Damn, dang, that's a hard one. That's really a hard one because like, dang, hard one. I don't know. I can't tell you because you know what I mean. It's so jumbled up right now because you got Canelo Alvarez. Even though he lost to Bivol, but I still feel like you know what I mean. He still holds the stand. He's still top three. We got anyway, and then we got Terrence Crawford and Spence. It's like there's so many ways to go. You know what I mean? It's just kind of matters like what you like and
Yeah,
stuff like that, and like the resume. But like, I feel like we're going off of resumes right now. I feel like Canelo's still holding it. You know what I mean? I just don't. Just off the top of my head, I just can't think of anybody. You know what I mean? Top five.
yeah, definitely. I think all the names you mentioned can definitely have an argument for that top spot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
and
it's a tricky one.
it's tough. We'll see. If this year gives us clear answers.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next question I got for you, Evan. What do you like to do outside of boxing? What are some of your interests and hobbies?
Uh, you know, um,
You still gaming?
yeah, I still game. You know what I mean? Like, but that's every day. You know what I mean? That's his life. You know what I mean? I guess I'll be watching anime and I like eating. You know, traveling. Um, eating. Hey, really eating's my thing. You know what I mean? I'm really surprised I don't be blowing up. You know what I mean? Like you ever heard of Patty Pimblett and then like those other fighters and stuff like that. I'm surprised I don't be blowing up as much, or I like them. But I do like eating. But I guess it's be nice to be eating the right things like sushi and stuff. Like, hey, be good.
Yeah,
Especially up there down out west. Oh yeah, man, that's the best part about fighting out there. Y'all got all the good seafood.
yeah, the cuisine can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
And then next question, Evan. What's the best piece of advice you would give someone that's thinking about going pro and making a career out of boxing?
The best advice I could give somebody about turning pro, and going into boxing is, I feel like you should first off, you should get a piece of paper and you should write down everything that you're expecting from it. You know what I mean? And with that list, you need to write down, you need to write down the other side, like all that you really can like potentially like really see, like realize. You know what I mean? Like what you really have in front of you. You know what I mean? And then with that, you know what I mean, you just gotta go hit your journey and just remember that list. Do everything that you do because you're gonna meet different trainers and you're gonna meet different fighters and they're all gonna tell you what they want you to do, what they want you to be. But what's really gonna be important is what you want it for yourself and what goals you have set while coming into the sport because you know what I mean? Like boxing is like, especially professional boxing, it's like one big street and then once you get to like the end of that street, it's like so many streets to go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could be a world champ. You could be a contender. You could be a gatekeeper. You can be a, I hate to call it this, but you could be a bum. You know what I mean? You could be, you know what I mean? You could be a contender. You could be whatever you set out to be. But it's like whatever you set out to be, you need to put all that motion into that lane. That way you can get there. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people will try to tell you what you're supposed to be and what you can't be, and just because you may, hit a bump in the road or whatever. Doesn't mean that what I mean. Your story's over. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of world champions that have adversity in their lives and in their careers, and you can see where that takes them. What different certain scenarios and circumstances and what that can grow you to make you to be. So like, again, I was just go back to look at that list and look at yourself in the mirror and just keep on reminding yourself like this is what you want to be and this is what you expect at the sport, and have boxing work for you. Don't be one of those people who literally I'm not going to say like one of those people, but don't put your life into something or into the sport and and then all of a sudden you turn around and of course you're out your heydays. You know what I mean? You may be 30 something, 40 something.
Mm-hmm.
The sport worked you. you don't got nothing to fall back on. You don't have you don't have nothing to account for it, like and to like actually like hold and be like, hey, this is what boxing did for me. You know what I mean? This is not what I did for the sport. And I feel like a lot of people miss out on that part. And I feel like that's the main part. You know what I mean? Like this is, essentially it's a sport, but it's a job too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You want to take home something at the end of the day and make sure the sport takes care of you because like in this world it can be kind of especially with the sport it can be a kind of a selfless and selfish sport because sometimes you be at the top and everybody wants to help you when you're at the top. But you know what I mean. When circumstances change, sometimes you'll find yourself by yourself and having to pick yourself up. So it's always good to have that plan and just to know, your reason why you're doing the sport because there's going to be a lot of times you're going to be questioning why you're doing this shit.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I think to your point, everybody can see the success, and they want to be with you when you're at the top of the mountain, but very few see the struggle, and very
Yeah,
few want to be with you when you're struggling. They want to jump off the train. So that's great advice, man.
yes, sir.
All right, final question I got for you, Evan. Not really a question, more so kind of giving you the floor. What's the message you want to send to your fan supporters, especially those who are going to be tuning in maybe for the first time to see you fight on February 18th?
Hey man, February 18th it's gonna be a show. You know what I mean? It's just the beginning. I feel like y'all really gonna see a different version this time. You know what I mean? I hope to show y'all something for the rest of 2023, and hopefully the promotions agree with me, and we can go ahead and try to get that prospect of the year. You know what I mean? Try to get something going on for the end of the year. I'm trying to get 4 to 5 fights, all wins, and I'm focused as ever, and there ain't no going back.
There you go. Well said. Everybody, make sure you follow Evan Holyfield on Instagram. It's right there in the banner. It's at Evan Holyfield _. That way you don't miss any news on his career. And Evan, again, thank you so much for the time. Looking forward to seeing you back in the ring and doing your thing on February 18th.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me.
No problem, man. Have a great sparring session.
Hey, thank you.
All right, later.
Later.